Live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, world. And for Nick, who doesn't know, when we first power up, we just kind of hang out for a couple minutes and let everyone get notifications and realize that we are actually talking. We'll wait till about a baker's dozen worth of people show up on the screen so that we can say hello. And we already have our first comment from Larry. Hi, Larry. Thanks for joining us. What? I expect the same tonight from the show. Words of Radiance. I got it. I can read. Thank you, Larry. That's awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, man. We are up to 7 people. We fucking love you.
Good.
Thanks for joining us already. 8. And we should be getting up to our baker's dozen sometime soonish.
Well, now thanks to Rudy and Matt, I need to know what everyone's wearing.
Yes. Ooh. So feel free to jump in that comment stream, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Babineau, of course, that's so rad. Thank you, Rudy, for joining us. Mrs. Babineau, the stash is awesome. We've got our baker's dozen, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We're firing up the Indie Beer Show freaking machine. Here we go. Here's right. Hello and welcome to the Indie Beer Show.
Thank you.
As Abel is holding up the sign, it is the day before Brandon Hernandez's birthday. Happy birthday, Brandon! And thank
Thanks,
you,
man. Let's make the last day that I'm 43 awesome. Okay.
I think it already is, and mainly because of our guest this week is Nick Corona from Five Suits Brewing. Hello,
Yay!
sir. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you. I'm doing groovy. It's a nice day. Good to see y'all faces.
That is freaking correct. It is a great day. We're going to have to live with some echo tonight. We couldn't kill it all. This is the fun of doing these things live. Sorry, folks, if it's killing you, but you're just going to have to deal until you stop noticing it. And hopefully the show processing on the internet will take care of it soon. But the most important thing is that we ask Mr. Corona what his role is at Five Suits Brewing.
My role here is jack of all trades, something of everything. I'm owner, head brewer. I'm going to see if I can even get rid of some of this echo for you. Don't climb into a hole even further.
And the awesome thing about technology is sometimes you can pick it up and walk the fuck around. So we appreciate you trying to relocate yourself. But so far, I think you've said janitor.
Janitor, toilet cleaner. I did clean the bathroom today. I'm a water boy. I delivered plenty of water.
Ooh. It was Nick.
Contractor, but only for things that I don't need permits on. And bill payer.
The most
for that one.
People are just lining up.
Yeah, we're not getting a lot of that done lately.
I could totally understand. I didn't even say hi to the members of the show. I just jumped right in with Nick. I was so excited.
Good,
how are you tonight, Estella? And where are you? Because you look like you're in a new spot.
From Lucas.
This is just my living room. It's just a different angle.
Yeah, all right.
The boys are gone. So I don't know what to do with myself tonight.
Well, at least you have a little freedom. Mr. Garcia, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. Had to work today, did some canning at Society, and now I'm here with all you lovely people.
That is great. And Mr. Hernandez, what did you do on your massive pre-birthday?
Got all my work out of the way, so tomorrow I can just chill.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
A nice, quiet birthday is very important when you can get it. All right, Nick, the most important beer podcast question of all time. What is the beer that sparked your love and interest of craft beer?
Everyone should know if they've read anything I've written because I've said it like 100 times, but it's Avery's Maharaja.
Such a good beer.
Good pull.
Avery's Maharaja. It happened at Churchill's, of all places, which is the quintessential North County craft beer bar. Happened to have one sip of it, and it was like liquid gold. I had 4 more, ended up waking up with a black eye and bruised knuckles, and realized I love craft beer.
Oh Lord.
I'm going to quote that. I woke up with bruised knuckles and a love for craft beer. That is great, man. So, yes, we've already had like 3 questions, or not questions, but shout outs to the stash. What is going on with your amazing freaking mustache right now?
What
This
isn't going
is
on?
a miracle. This is truly a miracle. Nick Corona has been on this earth for 46 years and has never had a mustache. And you can
Ever?
actually see this from maybe 5 feet away. So I'm keeping it.
That's awesome, man. I have seen a lot of original facial hair grown during Corona, and appropriate that you would as well.
Yeah,
So-
it's kind of paltry, but I'm trying to keep it together, let it go as far as it can, and scoop it, and maybe it'll last through COVID.
Well, best of luck on keeping that stash healthy. So far, good start. Our first beer is Vigorish. How do you say that? Vienna Lager. And why don't you tell us about it while we're cracking it open?
Absolutely. Vigorish Vienna. So the Vig, as it's commonly it's the Vig. That's the house's take. So that's where we came up with the name for it. Just basically the Vig. House always gets its take. But this was based off of a recipe that I had experienced some good luck with initially. Started out as I got a best of show at the Mayfair, which is a Maltose Falcon homebrew competition. Won me my first bird, which is this crazy cool like trophy. And it's a black bird. It's a Maltose Falcon. And I decided I was going to put an homage to my cousin Joey, who I named it after. And this was one of the first beers that I brewed. I knew COVID was coming, and we were probably going to have some beer in tanks for a while. And I decided that a lager was probably suited best for stand.
That's some astute business move right there, man. I noticed a lot of breweries, when they started to see their sales drops, switched and brewed more lagers and more shelf-stable products to keep everything going. But that's a good move, man. Props on that.
And it's delicious. I mean, I really love it. There's so much depth of flavor in here. Even the aroma is just like, it's so rich. You get this great, it's just like this toasty grain thing going on, and it just carries through from the front to the back of the palate. I mean, it's just like, it's so, I love it. Like, I really love that beer.
Good, yeah.
I'm gushing.
Got some bread crust.
Yes, absolutely. We didn't mention you also, along with the beer, sent us some stylish Five Suits glassware.
Yeah.
Shout out to that. Thank you for overdoing.
Yeah, that was actually Brandon's idea, so you guys can thank Brandon.
Oh, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you,
He had
Brandon.
mentioned it, and I said if I'm going to give one away, I might as well give everyone one.
Well, thank you for the setup. I appreciate that, Mr. Hernandez. That's
Thanks,
a good
Brandon.
move, man.
Thanks for filling up my cabinet even more.
I love it. He does something super cool and nice, and I get some kind of credit. But yeah, all right, cool. Thank you.
That's all everyone needs is more glassware.
And of
All
course, we love that style of glass. That's really awesome. So
More
that's the house
glassware,
glass over
more
at Five
t-shirts.
Suits.
Yeah, that is the house glass for now. Actually, embarrassed to admit this, but plastic is the house glass for now. If you come to Five Suits, everything's going to be poured in plastic. We're just playing it super safe with COVID. There are a lot of people that are concerned, and rightfully so. So just to make things easy, we went with plastic, and unfortunately, the environment will suffer a little bit, but at least we'll all stay alive.
But
But I
for
think
that.
that's the responsible decision, honestly.
Absolutely.
I mean, because everybody's drinking outside now, and same thing with sanitization and all that stuff. I'm down with it. I don't care. As long as the stuff inside is good, I'm good to go.
That's right. It's
yeah,
not the way I would want it presented, but it is what it is.
Of course.
And I think, like you said.
Yeah.
and I understand the thought process behind not reusing glassware, but it's really an odd thing to focus on. There's a few things about the pandemic rules that are difficult to accept, I'm sure, from your standpoint. But we don't have to let you bitch about the state. I'm sure you have a lot to say. We'll let the state suffer without that. But before opening Five Suits, you were a slightly successful home brewer. I mean, you got a couple beers down. You mentioned earlier that you'd won a award. You're being very humble. You've won countless awards, including Homebrewer of the Year. So what got you into homebrewing, and what were some of the steps along the way that made you want to go pro?
To be honest with you, the second I wanted to go pro was the very next day that I woke up from my Maharaja nightmare.
I got some bruised knuckles. I'm opening a brewery.
It started that soon. I just started going into beer, and to have that experience, it was so mind-blowing for me. And I just sat there and thought, man, someone made this, and I just had this experience from it. I want to give someone that experience.
That's really cool.
That's legitimately what started me down this path. Someone made a beer somewhere that opened my eyes to what craft beer can really be. And I went from calculating 50-cent cans of Miller Lite in the grocery store to calling everywhere I could and finding bottles of Maharaja.
Overnight.
I ordered a home brew kit that very same day and started home brewing, and realized after a year that I sucked at it and I was making really crappy beer. And I had one moment where I said, either I'm going to figure this out or I give up. And so I didn't give up, and I just kept pursuing it. And there was one person that I ran into at the 2015 NHC. His name was Keith Coast, and he is a home brewer, and he just kills it. And he was a California State Homebrewer of the Year. But he came and found me in the quaff booth, and no one knew who I was, and it was the coolest thing because he's asking everyone in quaff, "Where's Nick Corona?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know, Nick Corona."
Who's Nick Corona?
Who's Nick Corona?
But he had
You mean
heard
Extract Nick? He's over there.
So this guy's competitive drive really fueled mine, and I told him then, I said, "I'm coming after you." And it was the stupidest thing I said.
Shots fired.
And it took me about a year and a half, but finally I did take the title after he won it 2 times in a row for California State Homebrewer of the Year. But I just love competition. I think that my favorite part about competitions was people aren't going to just tell me that they like my beer because they're my friend or they're my mom. People are telling me that they like my beer because they really like my beer. And I like that anonymity, and I liked that feedback that was going to be unrestrained.
Okay, so Nick, for somebody who doesn't know what it takes to become the Home Brewer of the Year for the state of California, can you kind of tell us a little bit of what that entails?
Absolutely. They've got the National Homebrew Competition. There are normally about 12 regionals, and you submit your beers to the first round of regionals, and anyone with a first, second, or a third, gold, silver, or bronze, they will be allowed entry into the final competition. And then all of those beers, first, second, and third, go to the final round, and all of those beers are judged. And then first, second, and third are awarded. After that's done, they take every single first place beer, all the golds, put them on one table. They gather the highest ranking judges throughout the nation, and then they go through those gold medal winning beers one by one. And the absolute best beer determined by these master judges is chosen and then awarded the Homebrewer of the Year.
Got it. Okay.
An interesting caveat to that is that I doubled that feat at the Masters Championship of Amateur Brewing, which is a second national competition that you can only enter by winning a gold in the regionals across the country. So, and that was with the same beer, my Hefeweizen. So that was pretty much the coolest thing, to have the same beer show up in both of the best of shows for national homebrew competitions.
So you're saying you're the shit, pretty much.
Not me, my beer.
Not me, my beer. That is the exact right attitude to have, man. Before we move on, let's catch up with some audience. Dan Diego Slainte to you, sir. Welcome to the show. Matt from Perfect Pour is here. That is freaking cool. And yes, I hope you get out of your work clothes very soon, sir. Mr. Babineau, this is a very important question. Does the porn stash get a top 3 tonight in Dick Corona? No. But that's okay. It was a good suggestion. Yes, happy pre-birthday to Brandon. Yes, Maggie, we know that you bring the party. She's at Society. Cheers to you from Society. That's really cool. Yes, it's Nick and his mustache. This is also very important. Timothy jumping on the Able is Sexy train.
That's Mr. Timmy Miles from 91X.
Yes, Matt.
I love you, Tim.
Limit.
I paid him for that.
There you go. That'll work. Yes, it's a great beer name. Yes, Candace, lagers are freaking great. Yes, Mike, get up there and check this place out. And yes, not only does he have the TV on in the background, Rudy, it's the Padre game.
Padres 2-0 on the Dodgers already.
And yes,
He's doing a service for you guys. In case you don't have Fox Sports and can't watch the game.
We just went up. And so that answers Maggie's question as well. I don't know how it's like beer in 2009, Alex, but welcome and thank you for joining us, dude. It's always awesome to see your face here in the stream. Alex thinks you made cider. Have you ever made cider, Nick? Or is he just being funny, cider. Alex the guy?
No, I did make cider once. I got a medal in NHC for it, actually. Yeah, it was a cherry cider.
Oh, that's cool, man. Justin, thank you for making it through the spam link, asshole guy. I thought I deleted all of his posts. Somehow, some person from India decided to try to hijack our live stream and post this weird live HDHQ.xyz version of our link in the comment section of our event. I don't understand why or what, but yeah, it's crazy.
People are trying to hijack us. That means
we're famous now.
Yeah, exactly.
So to delete all sorts of stuff over the last 24 hours.
Yeah,
when you see nude photos of me, those are all fake.
So Nick, Larry's asking, is it possible to bring your own glass?
Absolutely. I let someone buy a Five Suits glass and be it poured in the glass when he came in. So bring your own glass. By all means, I'll fill it.
All right. That's rad. So if you are a super beer snob and you're like, I don't want to drink out of fucking plastic, bring your own fucking glass and you don't have to. I love that policy. That's great policy. Yeah. Well, Rudy, I don't know if it was a runner-up for a beer name, but
it's going to be.
There you go.
Can I ask a off-the-cuff question before I forget it? Because this beer's so good and it's 6.2, and that's how I'm starting, and I'm drinking too much of it.
Yeah, you don't have to drink all this beer. I know doing all those crowlers for you guys. It's a lot of beer.
We're no quitters. No quitters.
I would totally pace myself, but it really is that good.
It's delicious.
So we've known some homebrewers in our day. You have as well. There's certain interesting folks. It's just everyone's got their thing about when they put their entries in, and it's a very serious thing. And a lot of people who are on the outside looking in, they're like, wow, they're kind of quirky, I wanted to ask you, having observed that as much as you have, and then also having observed, say, like professional gamblers in a casino setting, are there any similarities between these two sects of people who are very serious about what they do that people on the outside world really don't understand?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, it's funny because you have all different types of gamblers out there. You've got poker players. Sometimes they're referred to as fleas. No offense to poker players out there, but the poker players are much different from their slot players. The poker players are much different from table games players, and same thing with table games to slots. So there's a wide variance of people out there that gamble, and you can normally tell what types of people they are and what they're after. Same thing with homebrewers. There's a lot of people who are very quirky. You've got all kinds of great personalities involving some of the engineer. They've all have that
Hmm.
mind always twisting and turning on how they can improve on something that may not need improving, but what the hell? Yeah,
Yes, keep
awesome.
on pushing forward, man.
Yeah.
So why don't you kind of take us through your transition from your glory days as an amazing crown of homebrew champion to having your own brewery, and you had a couple curveballs along the way. Before we even talk about the biggest curveball, pink elephant in the room, but what was that journey like for you?
Oh, well, I think just getting the success that I had in the homebrew competitions and then having it blow up with a national award, it was something that you don't plan for. It's something that you can't really say, I set my mind to this goal. It happened and it happened. And then when you saw the potential to build off of that is when I really started realizing that my dream could come a reality. And the support that I got from my wife, she is the most incredible person ever. It continued to push me and build that confidence that I knew was necessary to go down this marathon path. But there have been a lot of little hiccups and bumps along the way. There have been some business involvement that didn't pan out, and I'm always a firm believer in that everything happens for a reason. I've always felt that way, and sometimes when you can't control things, you just have to let go and you have to trust that it's not happening because someone doesn't want it to happen. And that's how it's been. So when we're sitting there working our way down one venture, and 3 or 4 months later, it doesn't pan out. I've been okay with that, and I believe again that this is where we're supposed to be right now, and this is what was supposed to happen. In the midst of COVID, we were supposed to open a brewery.
That's so awesome, and that you have that belief and faith in yourself. I often say you almost have to have an insane positivity and belief in yourself to open a brewery in San Diego, let alone currently. So, props to
You got
that.
it.
I guess. Well done, man. So, speaking of where you ended up, which was you took over the facility that Barrel Harbor was in. What adjustments other than decorating did you do moving into and taking possession of the building?
Other than decorating, the first thing I did was I started to address the water treatment. I've always been a big believer in establishing my own water profile. San Diego draws from different water sources throughout the state, so you can't really rely on building various styles of beer consistently unless you're able to control certain things like sulfate and chloride levels, which fluctuate from time to time. And it's really important for me to be able to replicate my recipes and to have every little attribute be exactly where I want it to be.
Yeah.
So I wiped out their carbon filter. It had been quite some time since that was changed, and then I implemented an RO filter as well. Just cleaned the water out, and then went on the deep cleaning mission to just kind of say, I don't know where things have been with this place, and I want to imagine that it's mine brand new. So I just started wiping everything clean on all the equipment. And thankfully, again, with help from my beloved wife, we were able to get through all that and left most of the work on the tasting room to the contractors. And then COVID said we can't open up indoors, so none of that really mattered too much.
Okay, you and your wife's appreciation for each other is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. It's super
Thank you.
sweet. Super sweet.
Thank you.
Super sweet.
That's weird.
So, speaking of homebrewers that turn pro, that is our top three of the evening, which are our favorite breweries that were started by people we know were great at homebrewing before. We're going to start with number three, and we're going to start with Estella. What do you have for us? Your number three brewery started by a homebrewer.
I'm going to go with home brewing just because I love home and I'm there quite a bit. So Hi, George.
Also, clearly, you're reading my show sheet. That was a great pull. I too picked George, and you cannot get more home brewing than Homebrew Co.
Yeah.
George
They're
is awesome.
amazing. Yeah, they're
Great guy.
incredibly supportive of the pastime and industry of home brewing. They have also won Home Brewing Supply Store of the Year. The first year that award was awarded. That's not good English, but you got the gist.
Hey, that's my thing.
That award was awarded. Wow, good job, Brian. Mr. Garcia, number 3 for you, sir.
I thought about homebrewing also, but I figured you guys would pick it, so I went with Mr. Bagby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff Bagby of Bagby Beer Company up there in, what's it, Oceanside?
Oceanside.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the very early members of Quaff.
Yes.
Yeah, great guy, man. Mr. Hernandez.
Okay, it's my only tie of the night. I went with took these two old school breweries that have been around a long time, but began with homebrewing as kind of one of them. Okay, so it has Homebrew Mart, Ballast Point, and that started out as a homebrewers project that became kind of the starting point for so many people who got into homebrewing. And the beers they were making at the Homebrew Mart brewery were just a lot of experiments by people who had come on to work there who were homebrewers in their own right as well, which was really cool. Now they're a kind of different kind of company, obviously, because they've become giant, but their roots are there. And then another one that has roots in homebrewing is AleSmith, which was owned by one homebrewer who sold to another homebrewer. They also have changed, and they're not so much about that homebrew spirit as they were before, but like all of these great archetypes of beer that they have were basically conceptualized and brewed by homebrewers who are getting their feet wet in professional brewing, and those beers are still around today and they're still awesome. So
Yeah.
I couldn't really pick between the two, but they both belong on the list for sure.
I couldn't really pick between the two greatest entities in San Diego craft beer, so I lumped them together into one super entity.
One amorphous awesomeness.
I mean,
Voltron of
He pulled it a
homebrewers.
Stella right there.
right? Yeah, and when
I haven't done that in a very long time, guys.
and when the
I'm picking
and
up
when,
the torch and I'm running with it.
and when the second half of your one is AleSmith, you've already won. So I mean, it doesn't even matter the category. AleSmith is the number one brewery in every category ever. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Did you want to play, Mr. Corona? You have a lot of friends that have started breweries, that started their career in home brewing. What's your third favorite brewery started by a home brewer?
Third favorite. I would have to say. Oh man, it's hard to say third because pretty much all of them in my eyes are first. But I love to see what Council had done, and they had done that when I first started in 2015 at NHC. I believe it was Curtis and Liz were doing a talk along with Kelsey on what it takes to start up a a brewery. But just to see their path and how they bare bones it kind of left me with a little bit more inspiration to kind of continue down my path.
And you couldn't have picked a better number 3. R.I.P. Council. They were freaking awesome, and also one of the first breweries that let me into their brewery before they were even brewing beer. They were just always very open with their whole process, and the first professional brewer that at least pretended like they liked my homebrew. So that was very nice of them. I really appreciated that. That was really nice of them. So we're jumping into the beer that you had mentioned earlier about winning national attention and awards, and this is Pit Boss Heff, and that's what it looks like in the glass. And we're guessing that since you only did one S and it's all capitals, that it's best to show too.
You got it.
All right, man.
Good guess.
And so give us what's in this glass.
So for this beer, I've tasted a lot of Hefeweizens, and one of the things that I started to recognize was that sometimes it was very easy to go overboard on the banana phenolics that was coming through, and it would come through as a bubble gum. And Hubba Bubba, like some people like it, but I think it's kind of out of place with this. I think you're letting that yeast go a little too far with it. And so I did my best in making this recipe to try to restrain the bubble gum, bring it back to banana, keep it well balanced with banana, and then really try to get that clove spiciness. So as you're tasting it, you should be tasting that clove spice on your tongue. And then the banana is kind of going to round it out. And it should leave you with a nice clean flavor.
I get nice lemoniness in there too, which is probably just a byproduct of not having the banana overtake everything, is that you can actually taste other elements of the beer because it's not just overshadowed by, like you're saying, bubblegum and banana. Really nice.
I don't like Heffs, and I'm 8 ounces in. This beer bangs. It is the boss. I'm blown away, dude. The restraint on that bubblegum quality is what I don't like about most Hefeweizens. And you mentioned like the clove spiciness, but you're also kind of got like a little bit of a white peppery quality to it as well, and very enjoyable. Cheers to you, Mr. fucking Corona.
Yeah. This is
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, that's a good pickup on the pepper, because it definitely does tingle the tongue, and that spiciness is, I think, what people enjoy about it.
Why do you think so few breweries in San Diego brew Heffs? There was a time and place back in the 90s where you couldn't go to a brewery and there was not a Hefeweizen. But nowadays, it's kind of a rare style to see, and it's pretty refreshing, you know?
Yeah, I have no idea other than the fact that the shelf life of it's pretty short. So, but you see hazies now flying out the door, and their shelf life is, in my opinion, probably even shorter than the shelf life of a Hef. So, I don't know what happened, but I was extremely ecstatic that this beer is getting a little bit more legs and a little bit behind it, to maybe we can have a resurgence of having some Hefs available in the county.
Great.
And how has it sold so far? Has it been received well at your brewery?
It's hands down keg after keg. So
Really?
it's been very, very quickly picked up by everybody. And the one thing, well, there's a few things I keep hearing about it, and all of them are complimentary. And I try to stay as humble as possible, but it makes my heart swell so much every time I hear someone say positive things about it. I've heard a lot of people who say I'm not a Hef drinker. I don't drink like Hefs. I like IPAs, but I love this beer, and they'll come back and they continue ordering it. A number of people have come and said they've been to Germany, they've visited Germany, they've tried a lot of Hefs, and they don't remember having one this good, or they haven't had a Hef this good since they've been to Germany. It's just great the way it's been received, and we're pushing it on people, but every single time we push it on someone, they come back and buy another.
That's really cool. And we just found out, for example, it's on at Ale Tales currently. So if you guys are listening and you're down here, you don't even have to go all the way up to Vista. If you want to seek out this beer, you can go to our friend of the show, Ale Tales. They've got it right there on draft for you. That's really cool. Thank you, field reporter Mr. Bobino. We appreciate that breaking news.
We have the best, I was going to say listeners, but viewers.
Yes, now viewers, it's this
Very
whole
well educated.
morphing into live streaming is been an awesome adventure, and we're still not sure what we call it. It's not really podcasting, but whatever. It's awesome, and it's way more connective and intimate than we ever expected it to be. So
We're
cheers.
Beercasters.
Yes, there you go. Exactly. So speaking of multiple assets of something, your entire family is in on this brewery. Why don't you kind of explain to us the members of the Corona Voltron and how they all assemble to bring greatness?
I love that. Yes, we've got me. I don't do much. My wife does a lot. In fact, she holds down the fort. My mom was not supposed to be doing anything. And it's so funny every time I hear myself saying mom. And it is embarrassing sometimes, especially when she's up there talking about my son's beer. You should try my son's beer. But she is seriously saving us in so many areas. She is very organized. She's very meticulous. She took all my chaos of dealing with the TTB, the ABC, all these licensing AGs, all these regulatory licensees and licensed places. And she's basically took it all, put it together. And her response was she wants it all to be organized so that when she can hand it off to someone else, it'll all be easy to do. I know it's been a hindrance on her. She's supposed to be retired with my pops, but thankfully COVID kept them both enclosed in their home. They don't have much else to do. Then we've got my brother. My brother Shane is actually moving out from North Carolina. He's been on this constant move for about the past 4 years. He'll get out here eventually, but in the meantime, he's traveling back and forth to the East Coast. He brought his dog, which was supposed to be our beloved mascot, Jake. It was a very sad situation. Jake had cancer. We didn't know. But Jake came out and he did a lot of great work in the short time he was here. And Jake's gone, but we're all still carrying on his memory. A beer will be in his memory soon.
Aww.
And then we've got my dad, and my dad does little artwork deals on the side and tries to help out where he can, but it is literally the full family effort.
Wow.
That's really
awesome.
cool, man. And something that we don't often see in beer is it being, I mean, there's a lot of husband-wife teams, but not a lot of full family. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That's special, and we don't often talk about family that much, but it's the most important thing in life. Take care of them, keep them close, especially right now. And yes, as Candace said, RIP to Jake. It's always hard to lose a furry family member as well, man. Different, man. But moving on, what are your plans for growth right now when you're basically handcuffed by a worldwide pandemic? How are you existing, and how are you filling in the little cracks to squeak out an existence?
Yeah, you got it. It is definitely a plan of survival right now for us. We've got plenty of traffic coming in outdoors. I think people are cooped up. They want to come out. They want places to go. But the most important thing from our standpoint is giving them some place that is safe. So thankfully and I had just read that article about Kelsey and some of the people who have been coming into North Park and how it's been difficult for him. And I fully empathize with that. And knock on wood, we have been well received by so many of the people that have come in here. They've been sticking to the mask policy. They have been coming in and social distancing. We haven't had people moving tables. It's been wonderful so far. As long as we can continue to provide that safe environment for everyone, I think we're going to survive, and I think we're going to be okay. It's pretty interesting because every once in a while, you stop and you take a look around at everything that's going on with COVID, and you're reading the news, you're reading all the stuff that's taking place, and you look around and you think, man, we might make it. We might make it. And so we've had a lot of those opportunities and a lot of those moments lately. So we're just going to keep pushing forward and looking at each other and really depending on one another, and it's mostly depending on the people that are coming in and being respectful of everything.
And I'm so stoked that you have had respectful customers. Not everyone has been so lucky. Obviously, we've all heard news of there are a lot of people out there that are just not taking this situation seriously and are not respecting the guidelines forced upon you by our state government. It's not like you're choosing to make people wear a mask and be really restricted in their movements. It's what we all have to do. So thank you for doing your part, and I'm really glad, and a shout out to all of your customers for keeping it cool. I mean, that's I appreciate that.
Thanks.
I don't want to be in lockdown.
Oh my
forever.
God.
So we've got. Speaking of mascot, who's this face licker, Stella?
This is my asshole dog, Hades. This
Is
is
that,
one
is that
of
the
them.
name on his birth certificate?
Asshole Katie. Yes.
All right.
That's right.
Same
Yeah.
as mine.
Yeah. The
That's
other
right.
one's down there, so he doesn't. He's camera shy, so he doesn't want to come on.
We love the furry friends. We're all about the furry friends. We've had so many people bringing in their dogs and their animals, and they've all been well received. We've got treats here for dogs. So
Nice.
one of the big things that we've always wanted to promote here is adoptions and rescues. So love dogs.
That's awesome.
That's really cool, and I can't wait to see an event like that when we can all go to events again. I
we
would
can hang
definitely
out.
Right?
I definitely come out to
That's
to
the-
support some pets.
Oh,
But
yeah.
let's
That's
catch
the
up.
reality of COVID.
Yeah, and it's going to be a while till we accomplish that, unfortunately. But let's catch up with the house. To quote Nick, apparently Matt Babineau was there in 2015 when that past Homebrewer of the Year came and found you and threw down and got you started on your journey. And yes, Alex,
Was he one of the ones that said he doesn't know?
maybe. Man, I don't know who Nick Corona is. And yes, Alex, you're right. It does have a high banana quality to his Heff. Robert from 13 Points here. Nice to see you, man. It's really cool. Larry said he would be happy to buy a Five Suits glass when he comes in, so that's great. More business for you. Caden asked if it was Danny Trejo. I hope so.
Machete.
That guy's
Wait,
a legend,
which one? Him or me?
right? I don't know.
Let's go for it, Nick.
Oh my God.
We both got that gap right there, that anti-Hitler stash.
So awesome. Maggie is very happy that Candy is involved, and yes, Matt, Candy is in the house. We saw her walking around helping people a little early in
She's
the
the
background.
only one working right now. Her and my mom. So.
There you go.
This is the other asshole right here.
Your dogs are too cute to be like held accountable for anything, though.
They're
Right?
jerks. They're jerks. Get out of here. Go.
There you go, play on the freeway. Get out of here.
Shout out to your hat. Mr. Snyder brought out some legendary names of early quaff time, especially Skip, Peter, Pat, Jeff, and Tommy Arthur, all amazing homebrewers that went on to open world-class breweries. It's freaking amazing. The amount of beer knowledge in that one sentence is pretty crazy.
Pat's
yes,
here.
Oh boy!
very hard to do.
Hey.
Hi, Pat. That's really cool.
That's fucked up. Bring on Candy.
Right? Exactly.
I'll go get her.
A direct trade out, apparently.
Go. You can go ahead and grab.
I was like,
Candy.
just take the
Okay.
laptop out to the bar, and we'll just do the show from there.
Yeah, we're very flexible these days.
I have several council beers as well, Mike, and several other people that have them still. That's cool. Justin, I think you are right, sir. I think Mr. Corona has the best half in San Diego. Like Brandon pointed out, there's not a ton of company. Hey, Candy.
Oh, hi.
Thank you for joining us, and so stoked for you guys getting open. And I'm sorry you're stuck being the only one working.
Unfortunately, we can't hear you, but Lisa,
yeah,
thank you
right.
for joining us. Sorry that you're stuck being open, and thank you for joining us. And Pat McElhaney said hi and bring on Candy.
Yeah.
Hey.
She said, "Hey everybody," and hi Pat. I don't know why
Yeah.
she singled him out. What's going on?
So
there?
we could hear her fine, but I
Because
understand
he's
she
Pat,
couldn't hear
that's
us.
why.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
he's Pat, that's why.
He gets what he wants.
Yeah, we all love
Maggie-
him. Come on.
Maggie has a really good question. Heffs are popular to those that enjoy them, but they're not really made here, and they get made fun of in some beer groups. So I think
They really do.
Come on.
I
don't
think
understand that.
So I think some of the bullshit elitist asshole beery type of people that make fun of people that drink Heff come from really what they're making fun of is people that would enjoy Blue Moon instead of seeking out a quality beverage.
But that's a wheat beer.
It
Doesn't
is,
even make
right?
sense.
Exactly. It's not even the same. It's orange and coriander. It's not fucking banana and spice. But we know this. The average beer drinker doesn't.
Yeah.
But a real a well-made Heff is fucking great, and this one is not just well-made. I'm very impressed. So make sure you go get that.
So is it easier to make this beer? Is it more difficult? Like, we're just trying to get to the why do so many beer groups make fun of Heffs?
There you go, Rudy.
Okay, so that was actually the perfect question. There's every beer that you make, I think, as brewers get to know their beers and the styles. There are some that they enjoy making because it's a quick little brew day. You can get in and you can get out. This is a relatively inexpensive beer to make in regards to actual ingredients, but when it comes to the labor and the process, that's where the difficulty comes into play. And for me specifically, I don't have a system that's designed for Hefeweizens. They did at Lightning. I think that was the only one that they had the ability to really do a step mash and decoction mashing. And this beer makes me work my freaking ass off, and I hate it.
But
he sells it.
Yeah, so I got to get in there and I got to sweat my what off. Just
Not your mustache.
not the mustache. I got to sweat it off just to get through the steps and make sure that I'm able to hit my rest where I want them. So it is a lot of work to make this beer, but there's a lot of science behind it and a lot of process. And I think that's the beauty of it, where like when you get to the end of that 10 or 12 hour brew day, you look back and you just have a big smile on your face because you're excited that you hit everything where you needed it to be. So as far as the beer is concerned, yeah, it is laborious.
So it's like making a souffle.
Yeah.
When it comes out and it's right, you're like, oh, awesome. But it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Pat asked a question actually, and he said, serious question for Nick. How is the Hef selling? We already went over that. If you want to just, say that again, and can it be a full-time beer for Five Suits is what he's asking.
Yeah, 100%. It's selling fantastic. I guess I refer to it as a Toyota. Like, why do you even have salesmen on a freaking Toyota lot?
Yeah.
It's like they're gonna buy it, and it's the same thing with this Hef. It is an easy sell, and now all I need to do is get my brother from North Carolina out here, and he's on an airplane actually flying right now, and get his ass out there with some samples to sell, because anyone who tries it is they're instantly sold in. So
he's a big hit at White Labs already. I was talking to somebody at White Labs. They're like, oh yeah, his brother came by. And he's great. He's coming from North Carolina. I got the whole scoop on him from them yesterday. So he left a really lasting impression over at White Labs.
He's a talker. He's a legend in his own mind.
Which is where all legends start. So he's got step one down.
He did fly on Air Force 2. He was with the Clintons, and he flew on Air Force 2. It's declassified information now, so I can share that without having to kill everyone on the list. But he used to bring us little M&M packets that had the presidential seal on it. So pretty cool stuff.
That's
awesome.
That is cool.
I've never flown on Air Force anything, so well done. It is a great time for us as well, Matt. We all look forward to it every week. It's one of the happy times in our life when we get to hang out with you guys and drink some beer. And then I'm guessing this is a family member giving you a shout out.
Never heard of my sister.
Well, thank you for watching one of
She
these.
must be the head of marketing.
And then your nephew?
And that is my prima.
Cousin. That's her cousin.
Oh, cousin.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is my favorite cousin, Jackie. Yes, absolutely.
Don't
I
let
wanna
the other cousins hear you say that. You can't
so-
say that.
Too late. No,
So
Mona
that must have
Lisa.
not been his favorite sister either. So
Mona Lisa is my only full blood sister brother, but Mona Lisa's wonderful. She saved my life a number of times. Actually, I fell into some swimming pools, so I owe her a lot when I didn't know how to swim. And Jackie, she was actually there from day one. She would sit there and watch me buy bottles and bottles and bottles of Maharaja and share it with everyone and tell them how one day I'd open a brewery about 7 or 8 years ago.
It's not an alcohol problem. He's going to open a brewery.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
she
all
was just there for the free
research.
beer.
It's all research. That's what it is.
That's right.
Rudy encapsulates the whole Hef conversation down to people are idiots. Good beer is good beer, regardless of style. Well done,
Fast,
Rudy.
Rudy. Fast, right there.
That's really cool.
I vote for Rudy. I endorse
I agree
this statement.
wholeheartedly.
That's awesome, man. Now, has your day job been supportive of this? We know that that's kind of the root of your whole theme is that you have had a career working for casinos. How have they been? How have they been receptive of this?
Unbelievably receptive. Actually, when I went to the general manager of Valley View Casino to talk to him about the possibility of opening a brewery, because obviously there's not an incredible ton of money in it, probably not for a long way down the road.
Yeah.
I sat down in his office and I just told him, I said, I've got a passion for this and I'd like to do this, but I don't want to do anything to jeopardize my job. And it was above and beyond what you would expect from any employer. Not only did he express his, interest in supporting my passion, but he offered to open up a little bit of the tuition reimbursement program that we have at Valley View in order to allow me to go to San Diego State University's beer certification school.
Nice.
Yeah. And I went ahead and I did that. And still the end of the day goal for us is to have my beer served there at the casino one of these days. So
Awesome.
How awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So that was what started the whole conversation, but they've been totally supportive.
Fist bump for SDSU.
I'm alumni, but I did a program.
No, we're beer program alumni. So
College for dummies.
one smaller
Guess
Kevin
I'm a dummy
Bacon
then.
slice closer, but that's really rad.
It's all about Grossmont Community College.
Ayo.
Well,
High school.
my only actual education was at Mesa, so rock. But
It sounds so much more cool to say I went to San Diego State University. I
Doesn't
don't
it?
mention
Doesn't
that it was in like some second class.
no.
What are you talking about, second class? That's a great program. That is a great program.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love the program. Any class you can drink in, I'm all for that.
And you can say you're San Diego State alumni. That's it.
I do.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's like how I got a 4th place ribbon at the fair once, and I'm an award-winning homebrewer for life. I mean, that's just how it works. So,
You got it. My brother actually went and got a full scholarship at San Diego State, but I still try to give him some fraternity fist bump.
Yes. Now we're getting into your actual West Coast IPA now, and
finally.
it's called Follow Suit, and I believe this was your first West Coast IPA that you made there in your new facility. Why don't you break it down? Tell us what we're about to shove in our face as I got it all over my lap.
Sweet. Well, I just poured it out of my plastic glass into my Five Suits. So there it is. West Coast IPA. I just really went way back deep into just a really clean IPA style. I tried to keep it totally clear, totally free of any the big D that I had been experiencing in a number of the IPAs that I had tried early on, right after I fell in love with Maharaja. And I would say that it's just it's my take on what IPAs used to be long time ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very really nice modern citrusiness to it, but it really does harken back to the Maharajas, the stones, and there's maltiness there, which is really nice. It's like, but it's like it's like caramelized lemon or orange thing going on, and then candied orange in it as well. And nice resin in the back, but it's got a lot going on in a good way.
Yeah, look at pretty.
Ooh. What are the hops in the beer?
So pretty much everything that I had, I threw in here. No, this was like I love Centennial. I've always gotten a lot of good out of Centennial. So it's got Centennial, it's got Amarillo, Simcoe, and it actually has some Azaka hops in there. So I just, like I said, my main goal in this was to put out something that was going to be hold up with that bitterness that you would expect in a West Coast IPA, and just not have anything off going on about it. That was my main goal initially. Was I want to make sure I put something out that's super clean. I still have a lot that I want to do with some of the IPAs and going overboard on some of the hop additions, specifically with like early fermentation hop additions for biotransformation. But this one, I wanted to make sure I had at least something that kind of caters to the old school West Coast crowd.
Home fucking run for the old school West Coast IPA fan. Go buy this by the gallon. I mean, I know you sell it in quarts, but you can buy 4 quarts. So go get a gallon of this.
It's 7.3 so it's
Take it
significant.
easy.
Like it
Take it
feels like a
easy.
double IPA in many ways. It feels like it reminds me a lot of Ruination IPA, which makes sense because a lot of the hopping and it's exactly the same. Azaka's in there, Centennial, of course. So, but yeah, I mean, it really does harken back to a time and place, which is very, very cool, especially now. So, way to go.
Yeah, thank you. Ruination was actually one of the first ones that after Maharaja that I fell in love with as well. It literally went Maharaja, Ruination, and then fucking Nelson like took me over the top.
Nice.
Everybody over the top.
That was it. And then sadly Maharaja and Ruination were gone, and it was all about Nelson for quite some time.
And I think you speak for an entire generation of San Diego beer drinkers, is that, you know, we were courted to the hoppy side by beers like this. And then the heyday, at least for those of us that have been around for 20 years. Oh, don't look at the screen, Brandon. I could have saved you.
Stop
We're
it.
getting our asses handed to us right now.
Well, remember when it was 2-0 us though?
Yeah. Back in the long ago.
The start of the show.
Yeah, the sheriff does
Don't be
not
that
have
way,
to
Maggie.
do shit tonight. So, yeah, if you're a Dodger fan, you're really fucking happy right now. That being said, just so that we can end the sports corner, us taking a split
Rally
in
hat
LA.
time. Rally hat time.
Right, there's that. But us taking a split in LA is a terrific win. So even if we lose tonight, we did very well in LA this week. So if we somehow pull this off, then it will all gloat later.
And we paid like half as much.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly. Hey, Art complimented your hat earlier, Abel, but that is a pretty sweet hat. Very nice. Very, very nice. I don't know if you guys have seen that whole series. Bad fucking ass.
Yeah, it's a nice series.
My way of being a Houston Astros fan without people knowing I'm a Houston Astros fan.
We all know you're a Houston Astros fan.
Yes,
that's the Corpus Christi Hooks, the minor league team for the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Why do the minor league teams all have the best logos?
Dude,
Oh my God.
But right now there's a series that they're doing all like Mexican inspired. So they have like La Llorona. It's really, really cool. Yeah. It's
La
really
Llorona.
yeah. I'm like, no.
Oh my God. My
Nightmare when I was
English
a
teacher
kid.
used to do
Nightmare when
that. Corona.
By
I'm
the way,
sorry. That's terrible. That had to be rough.
I do have to give you props for how many coronavirus puns you have been able to put out in social media during this entire time. So, first off, fuck you for fucking up the world. And secondly, thank you for doing it with style and humor. We do really appreciate that. Oh my God.
Yeah, it took a lot of restraint, man. I had to hold off for so long till it really was like the actual punchline.
Yeah. I mean, at first we're a little freaked out, and please continue to be a little freaked out. It's still fucked up. It's not under control. Like, don't just get tired and give up and be like, oh well, I didn't get it yet. I might as well get it now. No, put your fucking mask on. Anyways, sorry, that was my freak out of the week for coronavirus. Fuck,
I love it.
I mean, I do appreciate that enough people listen that we got some semblance of professional sports going again. That was really nice. But if we could stop our hospitals from being full, that'd be great. Anyways,
Florida Marlins.
Right. And
right? Jesus.
St. Louis.
I can just see the
and-
1-star reviews coming through now.
right? Hey, well, first we got the Trump treatment. We might as well take the coronavirus treatment too. Why not? But
Speaking of that, you guys should totally rate us 5 stars. Everybody should really do that.
We don't
5 or 7 or 9. Do what you want.
we don't normally ask for reviews, but we did.
I'm asking. Do it.
We did fall victim. We did fall victim to a fan of the current person that's in charge of our country, kind of messing up our ratings. So, anyways, let's move on.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's fine. Who cares?
It's all good.
The wonderful thing about America is that people get to think and say what they want, and the worst thing about America is that they get to think and say what they want. So,
America.
yes, exactly.
Kind of like this podcast show.
Exactly. To those that say that we should stick to beer, I say get your own fucking podcast.
Yeah,
So, there you go.
not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm actually surprised that the White House doesn't have a podcast at this point.
right.
Are you joking?
No,
That would be a huge dumpster fire. Immediate dumpster fire.
Don't turn around, Brandon.
No.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Hey, wait a minute. Nick, Mike is asking, what are the food options at Five Suits, and do you offer flights?
That is actually the best question so far outside of Pat McElhenney. Because any question he asks is going to be the best question. So, the food options right now are unbelievable. I don't know how we did it, but we paired up with one of the best food vendors that I've ever tasted at a brewery. My wife actually worked at Cocina del Charo in San Marcos for quite some time, and one of the guys that she worked there with started a Peruvian kitchen. And it's funny because when you listen to him talk about his food, he says that when you say Peruvian food, people think that they're cooking gerbils or something. And so
Wait. Can they cook gerbils? Because I've never eaten a gerbil.
They're gerbil empanadas.
So it was so funny. He set down the first plate in front of me. He set down the first plate in front of me, and it looked freaking amazing and it tasted amazing. But as I'm getting ready to eat it, it was so funny. On his own, he goes, and these are things that you eat every day: meat and bell peppers and onions and rice. And he was pointing it out. But I knew that he was hypersensitive about it when you say, something cultural. But this food is ridiculously, hands down, some of the best brewery food that I've ever tasted. And they've got a great thing going. And they partnered up with us. And we're both like rolling full steam on meal deals and anything we can to just like, you're going to offer this, I'm going to offer this. So we're pairing up with each other. And while some breweries are kind of bouncing around here and there, we're married up with these guys. They've got a lot of passion and a lot of drive. And as far as a restaurant offering, or as far as the offering out front, what I was going to say is it feels like a restaurant. And we already have people contacting us for reservations, and we have people coming in for his food who have never heard of me. And we got people coming in for me who've never heard of his food.
Who's Nick Corona?
It's this beautiful marriage, but we're at this point treating it like a restaurant because it's a great experience.
So they're on premises making food. It's not like prepackaged or anything like that.
These guys are taking these giant walks and they are flaming the meat. They're cutting French fries out of straight potatoes. Everything is raw ingredients, bulk ingredients, and
stuff you eat every day.
Preparing everything on the day. Stuff you eat every day. But no, it is freaking impressive. And I have no idea how I lucked out, but I think luck's always been on my side, especially when it comes to the brewing side. So we're very lucky to have them, and I would really encourage anyone who's looking for a great experience to give us one shot and you'll be back.
So are you doing reservations now? Can you make reservations, or how's that working?
I'm the owner. I can do whatever I want.
I love it.
I'm asking for the audience. Just so they
She's
know.
asking for a friend.
If you contact me, I will make you a reservation.
Okay,
Once
and
again, just
All
search who is Nick Corona,
We
and
don't-
it should come
yeah.
right up.
All I
Yeah,
have to
we-
say is friend of the
we-
show, friend of the indie beer show.
Yeah,
That's right.
say the indie
Friend
beer
of the
show
Indie
sent
Beer
me.
Show. We don't have anything as far as reservations are concerned on open
Mhm.
table or anything, but yeah, we're all about service here, and that's
Good.
one of the things that I think anyone who visits will notice immediately is that it's not just about coming out, plopping your butt down on a wood table somewhere where maybe there's a little bit of shade. We are dedicated to service. I come from the service industry, casinos. They obviously have a lot more money to offer, but my wife comes from the service industry as well. She was in Las Vegas as a showgirl for a long time. We know what it's about creating that experience. And that's what we're about here too. So you're not going to just come in and have a beer. You're going to come in, you're going to order a beer, and we're going to be up your ass. And we're going to be, hey, would you like some water? Here's some water. Would you like another beer? Would you like a beer? Hey, how was your food? How was the beer? I noticed your beer's, it's still sitting there. Can I get you something else? We're all about service and we're all about experience here. So it's you'll see that when it comes, and the beauty of the food vendor that we have here with Altoque is that they're all along that same lines as well.
And about how many people can you seat in your outdoor space right now?
We have about 40 space for 40 at this point outdoors. So 30 down below, and probably about 5 or 6 different tables and some little satellite tables as well. And we're adding new things all the time. We just put a TV out there so that we can have some
Padre games?
Oh, you know it. On right
Maybe
now,
tonight, but-
unfortunately.
yeah, don't
Probably
be like Brandon. Turn the game off right now. Maybe it'll
turn
bring,
the TVs off.
maybe it'll bring some good luck if we don't watch right now. We need a hardcore fucking rally if we're gonna come back in the game. Anyways, we got to get into what we drank, and this is where we talk about the beer we had before we jumped on the internet with you guys tonight. I'm gonna go first.
Hey,
And that's
I
because
like it.
I don't. For once, it was days for me. Like, I didn't drink yesterday. Whatever. Sometimes it happens. Don't laugh. But before that, on Tuesday, the last beer I had was Parabola from Firestone 2019. Fabulous fucking barrel-aged stout. They do very, very good things with their beer and barrel aging up at Firestone, both on the wild sour side and in stout land. I'm not a huge fan of their barley wines, but whatever. Their barley wines have a raisiny quality that I'm not a big fan of. But
I am.
that's a rad. That doesn't apply to this beer. This beer was Parabola, and it was fucking amazing. And if you have a chance to get it, I recommend it. So let's go down. Mr. Hernandez, what was the beer that you had before you joined us tonight?
Mine might have been happening right when yours was. It was on Tuesday. I had Uniquely Ours from Taproom Beer Company. It's a dry hop lager. I think it's 100% Azaka. And
I had that yesterday. It was really good.
Oh yeah. So it's, for me, going to you, it reminded me a lot of Good of the Public from Society. That's a very hot.
Yes.
It's a very hoppy beer with almost not even enough body to like carry it, but it's like just enough to get you to that place, and you're like, whoa, this is like so much hoppiness. It was a delicious beer and like just exploding with hop presence. Very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been very happy with everything that I've tasted coming out of Taproom. And I haven't tasted everything he's made, but like very quality beers left or jumped back in right where he left off at AleSmith as far as quality level.
Yeah.
So,
And it's such a good space too to go to. It's a wonderful space. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
It's a really cool. It's a really cool spot, and if you go there early, especially, they have plenty of room. They're taking similar to Nick. They're taking things very seriously. All the servers are masked up. Everyone's very friendly. It's one of only 2 places I have eaten inside of since February, and the other being OG40. But I went there to pick up beers for the show. Remember when we had them on the show, and me and my wife showed up, and we're like, "Wait, they're doing it right. we could like sit down and have a cheeseburger.
Nice.
She didn't, but I did. And it was fucking terrific. And then that was like right when restaurants and bars opened again, and then the ward went a little crazy, and now we're scared again and haven't been out in another 4 months. But whatever. That's either here or there. That's either.
I just wish it was the halfway point on my walk like it is for Abel. You lucky son of a gun.
Yeah, seriously.
I walked there yesterday. I'm sorry. Like I went down.
No, I'm happy
You're
for
not
you.
sorry. Why are you saying sorry?
I mean,
You're
I'm
not.
not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I walked. I should have drove, but I walked there. I had the fish and chips, and I got to see Bill Batten. So I mean, nothing wrong with that. Was a great Wednesday.
Was that the last beer you had there?
No.
Or?
I had one today.
What did you have? What did you have?
Am I next or you next?
Sure, go ahead. You're already talking. Might as well go. Oh, so pretty.
I got off work. Before this, I was at Society. We canned today. We canned the good of the public. So that was the last beer I had. But then on my way home, I decided to stop by Fall real quick because now they're open. They have their open area now where you can sit outside. And so
I was there yesterday.
Yeah, see, look at how the story just progresses. And then so I went in there and I wanted this on tap, but they didn't have it on tap. So I had to get the Let's Go IPA, which is a big bummer. And then I bought a 4-pack, and then I came home and drank this. It's really actually good. It's a really good. Just a real good dank bitter West Coast IPA with I think it's like Galaxy and Strata they mixed with it. So no complaint.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Awful.
And then I had to come on this show and drink more beer.
I know it's true. It's terrible.
Our life sucks. Our life sucks.
Yeah, it's a burden. It's a burden.
Yeah.
Okay, Estella.
So I said I was at Fall yesterday, but then I went to catch Portside Pier after that. But I actually had 805 today.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I'm just saying this is
I'm saying, just saying.
$10 805 from the pool at the Cosmo.
$10?
$10 for that?
That's how much it is. Wait, I got the bucket of 5, so it was only 45 for the bucket. So this is one of my. I was like, I really need to enjoy this because in my mind it's a $10 beer, which I technically didn't pay for. But yeah, that's what I'm drank last.
So did you lift your SUV and buy some Affliction clothing? Just kidding.
Oh man!
Did you want to play, Mr. Corona?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What was the last? Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was Gravity Heights. It was June Gloom.
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's
Yes.
So good.
great beer. Great.
Yes, that was the first night out that the missus and I had. Went to Gravity Heights, and June Gloom was on the list, and I ordered it. I was a little bummed out because I couldn't keep an open tab. I had to close out, but but from what I heard, they're fixing that, is what they said.
Sir, you can actually only order beers after that, which I've done many a times.
Yeah,
So
totally.
you're good because they have the QR code on their table. And you scan it, you order, you pay through the app, and it just comes right out to you. But you close out every time is what he's meaning by that, in case you guys didn't understand. So that actually works out really well for like me when we did that 5-hour brunch where all the girls were ordering separate things. We didn't have to split a tab in any way, shape, or form because all of us were just ordering what we needed. If somebody was picking up beers for everybody, they would just pay for them. It was no big deal. But yeah, June Gloom for days, bro. I'm with you there. I'm with you.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I love a lot of the beers that they put out, but that June Gloom is that's money.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I couldn't agree more. We just had that on the last show, which was kind of focused on Brandon's new website. But it was that was the first beer they packaged, and there's a good reason for that. They really nailed that. A perfect middle between having some bitterness, softer mouthfeel of a hazy, but then also the bright tropical notes that we're expecting in a modern IPA.
Yeah.
Great beer. And as Bill pointed out early, Skip comes from like the earliest beginnings of Quaff. Like, I mean, he was like, if he wasn't the guy that had the spark that started the Quaff fire, he was sitting there fanning it. Like, I mean, he was like the second or third member if I'm remembering my quaff history right. So
Skip is the best.
yes, indeed, he is incredibly cool. We got to jump into the bonus beer again. Mr. Corona never,
Overachieving.
overachieving right in front of you. I didn't even mention it. He also threw in some stickers in the glass.
Yeah.
But cover your snout.
Look how pretty
Stout.
this is, guys.
Yeah,
Look
so
how pretty.
yeah, you got the foil crown in there.
Yeah.
And
Then
Very similar to
this
another reflective
stuff.
sticker, huh, Stella?
I don't know what you're talking about. Is
Very-
that okay?
Am I biting someone's style?
No, not at all.
I'm
I'm
focusing
just
on
a
the beer, but I
ridiculous
love those
girl. I'm just a ridiculous girl that has to have a holograph, everything. So yeah, you're fine. You're
Perfect. You're welcome.
So what's the story behind cover your snout?
Cover your snout stout. So they had done actually, I was going to do this, but I'm not going to now. So they had actually done the mandate that everyone had to cover their snout. And I decided that it would be a great idea to hold on.
No problem. You'll get there. The
Hi.
Hey, she's covering her snout.
Can you pour me a cover my snout stout, please? Thank you.
Oh, that's freaking
Hey,
great.
while you're up, Nick, somebody was asking for a quick brewery tour. If you could possibly do that, can
Absolutely.
you do that?
Okay, we're going on a brew tour. Okay,
By the
here
way,
we go.
this is the first time this has been done on the show.
Absolutely.
This is actually
Live.
my wife might be a little upset because she wanted everything to be ready. But if we only have, everyone, it shouldn't be such a major deal to her.
This
So
is a nice preview.
okay,
Absolutely.
so this is walking in. So
Wow.
this
This is
will
our
show you
outdoor
the
patio.
Outdoor patio.
Ooh.
We got
Oh,
the
y'all
TV over there with-
fancy. Y'all fancy.
with the Dodgers game, which sucks.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah, don't go too far. Might lose Wi-Fi.
Oh, there we go.
You notice he's got
Sanitization.
Look at that hand sanitizer.
hand sanitizer. Little
look at
reminder,
that.
Nice.
guys,
Nice.
you need
bad.
to wear your mask. So that's the outside. Then we're walking in.
I love
And,
nice logo on the right. I love the backwards walking. Well done.
Thank you. It's got the little
Sunflowers. Thank you, by the way, friend. Thank you. You made me so happy.
my pleasure.
So Nick delivers the beer to me yesterday, which again, going above and beyond, and it's got a pile of sunflowers there, and he goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, the flowers are for Estella."
I was not sorry.
It's awesome. Oh, that was great. Dancing Medic. Oh, look at
Also in
this.
the office.
Now
Yes.
you're talking service. How on earth did you get an actual blackjack table?
That's
Yeah,
so.
we've got the blackjack table in here. That was acquired through nefarious deeds, but it's there. That's our little entry walkway in the meantime, and all of our normal service goes right there, and it stops with a little drapery. And then I'm going to take you guys all right now behind the drapery.
Ooh,
So
behind
I see
the curtain.
I see you have a good amount of merchandise people can purchase. That is good.
We
That's
do. The merchandise is there, and more is coming. So you can see there's ladders and whatnot. So there's still a lot of construction going on. But can I show them your restroom?
Yes, please.
Candy's like, no.
She said no, but I'm
When's
going
the
in
last time you
anyway.
were in it?
Make sure you flush the toilet.
Oh,
Okay.
I love the color.
It's very
Oh.
pretty. Very pretty.
Yes.
It has a chandelier.
Woo!
Just what every bathroom needs.
Yeah.
Does it have
you
a
have to
bidet?
have a chandelier.
Wow.
This is like the artist formerly known as Prince's bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes.
gonna say.
The bidet
That's not a
comes
bad
next
thing.
week.
Awesome.
Nice.
That is
nice.
really cool, man.
Gold mirror.
Yeah.
And
Very
then, and then in here we've got a huge chandelier. You probably can't see it very well, but
You get it. You get the outline. You're good.
It's a beacon.
Yeah.
you get it.
I did also notice you've got a big ass fan up on the ceiling.
We
Those
do
things
have a big
freaking-
S fan.
Those things are killer. They move so much air.
They are, and it's doing its job. It is plentiful. So as we continue moving through, we've got
Keg washer.
keg washer with keg still upside down. Obviously, I was interrupted mid keg washing.
Who would do that?
And yeah,
And
that
there we
was-
go, the actual brew house.
that was my own fault. It's the actual brew house, and it goes all the way down, all along the lines.
Nice.
That's really cool. So while we're standing here, size of your brew house and fermentation capacity.
So the size of the brew house is 10 barrels each batch, and then fermentation capacity is 90 barrels total at any given time. I've got 5 10-barrel fermentation tanks. They're all unit tanks. And then I have 2 20 barrels. So 5 10s and 2 20s.
That's cool. So you can double batch like the Heffs, for example.
You got it.
Since it's flying out the door. By the way, applause for the first live brewery tour
that was
on the Indie
fun
Beer
ever.
Show.
Hey.
Such poise.
And
Yeah.
Thank you.
well done. And shout out to Mr. Babineau with another great idea. I think he's, you know what? He's contributed so much this show. I am going to give him a latchkey wooden nickel.
Hey, that's a
so, by the way, that means that I'll mail it to you or something, Matt, or maybe we could actually meet up outside of Pariah and I could like throw it to you from 6 feet away or something. But that means that Matt has a beer at Latchkey to drink. When we were picking up beer from them for last week's show, I bought a stack of their wooden nickels. Great program, by the way. If you're not aware,
it's really cool. Yeah.
So you buy wood nickels for $6 a piece. You give them to your friends, and later they can have a beer. And what a great way to share beer with your friends. So Matt, Mr. Bobineau, you just won a free beer. Actually, I can't say that.
Okay, this will be.
You didn't win a free beer.
No. He won a legally purchased beer that I am sharing with you.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
Hand me down beer, if you will.
Exactly. Because alcohol and free are things you should not say. So
No.
I didn't say that.
Right.
Let's check out Dan Diego's question real quick, because I'm interested too. It seems kind of almost
So
cover, but you never know.
with the poker table, so there's also this weird gambling alcohol interaction of law. Did you have any issues with ABC and your theme overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. For the most part, we have literally the ABC working on their side, in our side. My mom, thankfully,
you did air quotes and mom.
Yeah.
Finish your sentence.
Thankfully, she.
Oh, I think the mom stepped in.
Let's do a
I think
Mad
the mom
Lib.
just cut him off.
Let's do Indie Beer Show Mad Libs. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Adjective.
So while we're
Thankfully, his mom came in and shut him off.
And saved the day, because that's what moms do.
She was
Thankfully.
semi-automatic.
Thanks, Mom.
Okay,
And,
let's real quick try to figure out. I vote that his laptop died. I mean, after all of that, he wasn't plugged in. Anybody else?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't we do our number
I'm still
two? while we
thinking
wait?
the mom. I think it's the
Well,
mom.
let's
It's
go
the
number
mom.
2. Let's go number 2.
All right. So let's start with Abel, and it looks like he's coming back. But let's start with Abel. Your second favorite brewery in San Diego, started by a home brewer.
I mean, we talked about it earlier, but I was gonna wait. I was gonna save it for my number 1, which was L. Smith. So that's my number. That's my number 2 now. So I'm changing my number 2 to number 1 and number 1. So yeah, I twisted.
Go.
So since Brandon started off, I'm gonna be like L. Smith.
Yeah.
Is my number 2. I mean, I'm always down with the Stouts, and every year they do the Grand Prix and the Speedway, and then Peter and everybody there. They just make some great beers. And Brandon used to work there, and he was cool at that time, but not anymore. So yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So to fill some of the space while you were gone, Nick, we've jumped into our number 2 favorite brewery started by a home brewer.
Yes.
That brings us to you, Estella.
Oh, me. I have a tie.
No, after you were just making fun of Brandon for it.
I wasn't. I was just saying. You guys always say Estella does this. Estella. I hadn't done it in a minute, so it was time to bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. I went Rip Current North Park Beer Company because I love them both, and I don't have enough great things to say about both of them. I can easily travel to both of them. They're right here. I love beers there. I love everybody that works there, and you should go there. That's my spiel.
Go to both of those.
You should go to Rip Current and North Park Beer
Great
Company.
spiel. Great spiel.
Cool.
Mr. Hernandez.
Well, since somebody really hit my list hard, I'm going to go ahead and adjust. But
Adjusting.
But for me, number 2, I'm going to say Burning Beard because I think Jeff's done a really good job over there with a lot of help from a lot of passionate people. But I really like that when I go in there, I get kind of styles of beers I can't really find other places, like table beers, a lot of Belgian styles, multiple versions of just even like the ubiquitous hoppy beers. But in general, I love what they do, and I love that they took kind of like a homebrewer's spirit to a cool ship. That's really incredible. And it's kind of fun because you're on the journey with them. I feel like that when you have a friend who homebrews and they're really into it in a real way, you watch them progress through the years and you're just always excited to see what they're going to have next. And that's kind of how I feel when I like going to Burning Beard or trying their beer. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
That's and great reasoning, and fuck you. I'm
not in the mood right now, Brian.
Okay, well maybe
Brandon's just stealing everybody's. I mean,
maybe after another,
now yours.
Maybe after another beer or two, we'll get back. No, anyways, you guys have decimated all my list, but luckily I knew this was going to happen, and I planned a couple contingencies. So while Estella kind of split the attention between North Park and Rip Current, I'm going to focus and just say my number 2 is North Park. Kelsey has a long, fabled, award-winning homebrew history as well, similar to Nick's. Hop Fu won the Stone Brewing American Homebrewers Association rally, and that was brewed on a professional level, and that was kind of his springboard to fame. And we all know that fucking beer is, and then he took, he opened up North Park Brewing, which is glorious, and they had a lot of problems too, not different than Nick, but their problems started 7 feet underground. Actually, their building was built on expansive clay, and they couldn't get the proper support for their tanks and their brew house. So they had to actually excavate 7 feet down below the floor, build it back up, and fill all that with different material that could support the brew house to even to be built in there. And then he opens up, and right when he opens up, we all said, West Coast IPAs? Fuck that. We're into hazies now. And I mean, he built an entire brewery on one of the better or, higher, maybe even best West Coast IPAs in San Diego. The day he opened, we were over it. Like the day he opened, we're like, West Coast, and then he was able to pivot and make amazing freaking hazies as well. And
art is difficult.
Right, that's a great beer, and then also just the full package of North Park Beer Co. cannot be understated. Having Mastiff inside there for the food, everything is on a level of excellence that I severely miss. They were in my normal 2 or 3 stops that I would go to on any given weekend. They were in my neighborhood. They're right around the corner. Always delivered. Always satisfied. North Park, my second favorite brewery, started by a home brewer after all the other ones were taken as well. Mr. Corona, do you have another brewery that you would like to talk about at this current juncture? Number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Rip Current, to me, and what Paul had accomplished, that was one of the things that also inspired me to see Paul just kill it year after year. at NHC and his competition brewing. I thrived on competition brewing, so to see someone like that was a real inspiration to me, and someone in Quaff and someone local. I love it. You know, we have our superstars, and how lucky are we to have our superstars right here locally in San Diego? You look throughout the country, and you're not going to find many more superstars than we find here. And definitely, Paul was one of the early Quaff superstars when it came to homebrewers turning pro.
That is really cool. And my mom's here. Hi, Mom.
I saw someone mention your grandma, and I thought it was.
I'm not the only one.
You're like,
No.
Was that air
Yeah.
quotes? Was that air
No,
quotes?
no air quotes. That's actually my mom, and I love you, Mom. First off, and secondly,
hi. Hi,
Grandma
Mom
would
Beagle. Hi,
not
Mom
only-
Beagle.
not only would Grandma love this brewery because of their decorations, also this beer, the Cover Your Stout. She would love this. She's a Irish stout fan. This is a little heavier than that, but we never actually talked about what's in the beer. So, like, what was your thought process behind this, and what are we drinking?
So, Cover Your Stout was created shortly. It was envisioned in my mind shortly after our I think it was May 1st, that San Diego or California had declared that we had to wear masks. And I thought, what a great opportunity to create something that was huge and in your face. It was going to throw tons of aroma to get through your mask. And I had a stout that just blew me away in NHC as a judge. And that kind of inspired me to create this stout. And this was, I believe, 2018. And it was created by a home brewer as well up in Orange County. His name is Tien, and he had shared some of the process with me that he had gone through, and I took some variations off of it. But my main goal, and what was pissing me off when it came to stout, was that it's so easy to overdo like that roasted malt, like on any stout. It's so easy to overdo it, and for it to come across as like so astringent that you don't want anything more on your tongue. Unfortunately,
Hey, I got fourth place with that business model, by the way. My stout's super astringent, and I just covered it up with a bunch of Chinook hops. So, anyways, continue.
fucking A, fourth place is great.
Yeah, right.
I love fourth place. That's actually what my very first award was for my Hefeweizen at the San Diego County Fair. So if I didn't know about fourth place,
We wouldn't be here.
that's right. So so I did some variation off of what he had shared with me, and I went back and I actually even put a little bit of coconut in this on the back end. He did.
You sure did.
Oh, I
So
can
he-
tell. Don't worry.
So he had done coconut and another additive or adjunct to it. It was pandong. It was a certain specific type of spice that I didn't put into this, but I put a tiny bit of coconut in this just to kind of back sweeten it. And there is some lactose in this, very light bit of lactose to add some back sweetness. But yeah, it's I've always been intrigued by stouts, and I wanted to put something out that was, I guess, worthy of being a stout. So this is my American version of that. Tons of bitterness.
Oh, cool.
I like it a lot.
Again, one of the rare beers that coconut's in there, but it's not very prevalent, and an enjoyable product for me. Normally, no. Anyways, I don't need to tell people what I normally say.
I don't know. I think we're turning him personally. I think
No.
through
I gotta
years of
agree. I
beers.
gotta agree.
I think the overall trend of craft beer moving towards balanced beverages has been a positive thing for me and coconut and beer. My coconut and beer relationship, while early, especially coconut stouts were massively overdone and very almond joy.
Yeah.
But now people are using it even sometimes not as a flavor enhancement, but as a mouthfeel enhancement to get a little base on the mouthfeel. And when it's used in those ways, there's a chance I'll enjoy it. So in this case, it's buried behind some lactose and some vanilla qualities that I think are kind of the lactose and coconut working together in with a good balance. And
There's vanilla in there too, so good pickup.
okay, so it's almost like I can taste beer. And I also like that your stout base, like the actual malt, is more presenting as a chocolate flavor than
It's
that
a dark chocolate.
than a roasty astringent flavor that you were talking about avoiding. And so cheers, you fucking nailed what you were going for, which
Yeah.
I think is like, really important, that a brewery is presenting what they want to present to the public. And so congratulations. I mean, these are
good beers.
These are terrific beers for the launch of a brewery in San Diego, dude. Take a moment, soak that in. This beer is awesome, and it has coconut in it. So there you go.
He's almond enjoying it.
Hey yo, hi.
I'm not enjoying that pun, but yes, that's awesome, man. So you happen to already, of course, before you even opened, really, you started working with the other side of San Diego Brewery that we're very familiar with, the community support aspect of being a brewery in San Diego. So not only were you you supported Pink Boots before you even opened. So let's start there. How early in the process of taking over the Barrel Harbor facility and all that was your first Pink Boots beer?
Oh my gosh. Well, the Pink Boots beer was actually going to be Barrel Harbor as said before the sale. So as we were prepared to move forward with the Pink Boots beer, I was excited about it. Pink Boots had reached out to get their hot blend. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna buy the hot blend. So as we were working through the sale, we had worked through Barrel Harbor, and we had this great idea that we were going to buy the Pink Boots blend, make this Pink Boots collaboration between Five Suits and Pink Boots, make the beer, and then have a big event for Barrel Harbor's almost going away party. And then the proceeds were going to be donated to Pink Boots. And then COVID hit. So there's no event.
No.
That was going to be a rad beer of the week, wasn't it?
It was. Thank you for reaching out. So I did everything I could to try and preserve the beer as the sale was proceeding. And I was still able to, and I'm still doing my best to try. There's a few more options I have, but there's still a desire, not a desire, but a commitment from my standpoint that I'm going to make that final donation to Pink Boots for what we were able to sell. Because that was the first thing that we had done as far as a commitment to try and help out. I love Pink Boots. I've always supported that. My mom, which I believe I was cut off last time I talked about her in any negative way because I put the quotations.
I was going to say, we all joked that your mom cut you off while you were gone.
It's a good possibility. She worked for the state for quite some time, so they control a lot of things. So now I'm going to talk about her in a positive manner, and we'll find out if I get cut off. My mom was the very first California Highway Patrol policewoman in the state of California.
What?
Wow, that's cool, man.
She went through a lot. She went through a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, she is seriously. She went through a lot. She's got a lot of great stories to tell. And so when the whole Pink Boots alignment came to light, I really wanted to try and emulate that and try to promote that as best as we could through Five Suits. So that was why I was dedicated to that brew. And then also came the Black is Beautiful beer, and we still have that on the books. So we've committed to Black Boots or Black is Beautiful. We've got the Pink Boots, and we actually have a very exciting project coming up with Urban Surfer Kids. This is a wet hop beer that we had just done in collaboration with Urban Surfer Kids. And Urban Surfer Kids, they promote surf therapy for orphaned, underprivileged, and foster children. and everything that they do is so gorgeous, and it's so San Diego. I mean, how beautiful is that to get those kids out there surfing with all these mentors. So we had a wet hop beer that we brewed about 2 weeks ago, and this thing is tasting fantastic. We're going to be releasing that probably in a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
it's awful, the timing of all of these things, because as far as I'm concerned, we'd like to be pushing our beers out and getting our beers moved, and we have these other commitments that we've made. But this is the craft beer community, and I really feel strongly that all the tables have been set for what we're supposed to do, and more importantly, what we'd like to do. So that's where we're at.
You got Tyson over there at O'Brien, says that he wants to be part of that Wet Hops Festival, and he's looking for people for wet hop beers.
Yeah.
So reach out to him; he'll get your beer out there.
Yeah.
The beer is tasting so good right now. I'm definitely going to get Tyson a keg of it, but the beer is tasting so good. I initially had some contemplations about doing another dry hop edition, but we got so much flavor and so much fruitiness out of this wet hop, the wet hops that we got. We got them from Horse Thief Hops from Eli, and we got so much good flavor out of it. I keep tasting it like day after day, how it's going. I'm super excited about this beer, and it's the very first wet hop beer I've ever attempted. So I'm really excited about it. We'll see.
You got to tell us more about the hops and the recipe for it too, so we can get excited about it as well.
Yeah. So the hops, I have no idea how we got all these hop strains, but a lot of them are New Zealand, like it's Pacific Gem, Southern Cross. The hop styles that he got, I have no idea how he got, but I'm not going to ask any questions.
Nice.
We threw him in the hop back. I knocked everything down, just like Uncle Pat told me. Uncle Pat.
Listen to Uncle Pat.
Yeah.
Uncle Pat. Thank you, Uncle Pat. But I knocked everything down the best I could to try and keep as much of that aroma and that flavor. And we pushed it through a hop back. I even threw a couple hop pillows inside. And the hops were at exactly the perfect ripeness for everything. So right now we're getting tons of pineapple and tangerine out of the hops, and it's just this huge tropical flavor. Again, like I said, I wanted to throw some dry hops in there, but there's no point in it at this point because the wet hops threw tons of flavor in it. As far as the malt bill was concerned, I love light colored IPAs. I like really, really light IPAs. And we shot for an IPA, but with the quick timing that we push through the wet hops, it's actually come off as more of a blonde. So it's going to be a blonde. We're going to call it a San Diego style blonde. And I think that whoever tastes it is going to fall in love with it, but it's probably expected to be out maybe the end of August. And this thing is a banger. It's really, really enjoyable.
Nice.
That's terrific.
Can't wait.
And I'm so stoked to hear that most breweries are still progressing with their planned wet hop beers. It's one of the cooler times of year in beer is where we kind of transition from our summer, our hot beers, our lawnmower-y beers into wet hop beers, and then I guess if you're a fan, the pumpkin beers come right after. I mean, like right after the wet hop beers.
Some people like that thing.
Yeah, some people like it, and no shame if you like pumpkin beer. That's cool. I don't like Gordon my beer, but whatever. That's me. Again, everyone has their own palate. There's a beer for everyone, and that is one of the beauties about beer is how you guys can make these millions of different flavor profiles from roughly 5 or 6 ingredients, depending on how many adjuncts you're adding. So props. And for those that were wondering, it's Urban Surf for Kids. It's Urban Surf, the number 4 kids.org is the organization that this beer benefits. They do amazing things with children that are very hard to reach by one-on-one teaching them how to surf. So not only are they getting the interaction with people that they don't normally get, they're also learning a skill. If you've never surfed, it's a lot harder than you think. At the same time, once you get it, then you got it. and it's kind of a. Then you can also snowboard, and you can one board, and you can segue. It's weird. It's like surfing's a very transferable skill. So check that stuff out. But before we finish up with with Nick. Sorry, Matt had a question about cover your snout stout midnight wheat in your malt bill.
No midnight wheat. We had some standard chocolate. We also had some roasted barley. My approach to stouts has always been add that roasted character as late in the mash as possible. So what's funny is I actually took my old homebrew mill out, and I mill out all the dark grains into 5-gallon containers. And when I'm sitting up there, we throw them back into the sacks. And when I'm sitting up there in the mash, I'm putting those in just prior to sparge. So they're not sitting too long in the mash tun.
No, it's really cool, and that's how you're avoiding some of that astringency. Is when you have the dark and roasted, and especially if you do any black patent in your mash bill, and you let that sit for the full 45 or 60 minutes, depending on your process, you can get a lot of tannins and astringency, and which when I first started home brewing, I thought was flavor. Turns out isn't really flavor. It's kind of a defect. But if you bury it with enough hops, no one notices. So there you go. There's some homebrew advice. When in doubt, over dry hop. If you're a hoppy beer person, Larry says to get used to his face. He's going to be there. By the way, if you can, and this is not just goes only for Five Suits. For San Diego beer, if you can make a fan of Larry Smith, he is a cash cow. I'm not saying that to be a jerk.
He likes beer.
I'm saying the breweries that he is a fan of, he supports fervently. And so you want Larry Smith to be one of your fans.
And he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a
Matt came up with a great name.
Love
Five
it.
Suits IPA. We'll have to see if that ever goes. Daniel, his mom does sound awesome. It's very nice. This is a really nice note. Well, starts off as a really nice note from Rudy, and no one's getting over your stash. So well done.
Hey,
I think there's been more comments about the stash than anything else.
Exactly, Larry. I'm in your boat. If you guys haven't ever seen the Society Brewing video on pumpkin beer, YouTube is your friend. Look it up. It's fun.
I enjoyed leading that project. It was awesome.
Did
You'll love it. You'll love it. Oh, you know? Yeah.
Humble brag.
Good job, dude.
Yes.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
Happy pre-birthday day! Yay!
Hey.
Filmed at Bates Nut Farm.
Yes, right.
Yay.
So this is a very important question. Does your stash have its own Instagram?
I bought wax today, so if I can bring some good photo quality to it, who knows? Sky's the limit.
That's rad.
God.
That's rad, Rudy, that Larry was a supporter of yours. And yes, Tim, Larry is one of the best humans on earth. So are you, Mr. Stahl. You're an exceptional human as well. And I heard earlier in the comments, we didn't get to it, but I heard that Tim was saying that some of his photography work will end up on your walls at Five Suits. So yes. I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah.
Tim actually came out super, super early in my whole process. He came out and he hung out with a whole brew day for me and took tons of shots with me. Tim he was published in, I think it was called Homebrew World. And it's like a nationally distributed book that took place. And every single time Tim has been involved, it's always been just gratis. So Tim's been the man. He's always supported everything we've done. So we want to support him back.
Nice.
That's awesome, man. And speaking of support, Brandon's entire life is supporting the San Diego beer news world, and more specifically, San Diego beer. Yes. So one of the weird things about streaming is the video reverses left and right, but you can still read Tatis. I don't get that, but
yeah,
it's science.
Cool, though.
It's science. So I'm pointing to the right. No, I'm using my right hand. I'm pointing to the left, but it's going to the right. Anyways, whatever. Mr. Hernandez, bring us the news, please.
Okay, here's some news items. So, OB Brewery in Ocean Beach, if you didn't know what OB stood for, their head brewer, Jim Malaya, he's teaming with former Ballast Point hospitality vet, Hannah Sylvester, her husband, Anthony, and a vineyard owner out in Valle de Guadalupe to build a brewery. It's called Cerveceria El Destino, and the brewery will be located in the winery's production warehouse, where there actually used to be a brewery before, but the person who used to be there left, and when he left, he took everything except for basically just some mechanisms. Like not even a cold box is left, but they're going ahead and putting that whole thing together. Beer will be served at the winery, and if you've ever been to wineries, you notice the disparity between wineries and breweries really quick. There's a lot of money behind wineries in general. So there's a lot of lush grounds. Like everything looks just so great. And there's greenery and great places to sit and enjoy things in the outdoors. Well, this brewery will have the benefit of all the things the winery has down there in the Valle. And the idea came from the Sylvesters, who have a winery tour business down there in the Valle. And they were always taking people out. And there'd be somebody in the group who said, I don't really like wine, or man, it's hot. Because it gets hot down there, and they always wanted to find a place that had some cold beer or something like that to serve those people, or to just cool people down. And there wasn't a lot of that, and they wanted to fill that void. They didn't know they would be filling the void themselves, but eventually they decided that they would, and they brought on their friend Jim to go do that. And so they're going to use the old 3-barrel brew house from Two Kids in the Miralani Makers District. 5 years, great business down there, a lot of friends, and now that system would be put to good use. They're going to make blonde ale or lager, porter stouts, pale ales, IPAs. They're not really sure exactly what they want to do, but that's kind of like the base plan that they're going with. And they're going to tweak that till they get to where they want to be. But basically, once they get all the equipment bought, all that they need, like fermenters and things like that in a cold box, they'll be ready to go. They don't know exactly when it's going to be. Much like here, everything's slowed down by COVID, so they're even getting their visas. So there's a lot of things to deal with, but they're really excited about it. And Jim got them best small brew pub of the year in 2018 over at OB Brewery. So that's no small feat. But he'll be splitting time, and his assistant brewer will be helping him out there so that he can split time, go down to Mexico, spend several days, and brew there, and everything will be fine up in OB. So pretty cool news, a nice cross-border news for everybody. Any thoughts?
We kind of mentioned it last week or the week before, just like a glancing blow. I think it's freaking rad. This region, VDG, as some people call it, Valle de Guadalupe.
Nobody calls it that. Nobody.
Okay,
calls it
only white people do. For
Guadalupe Valle.
They call it Valle.
Yeah,
Valle.
so renowned wine and food region. I mean, really, and it's a great fit for craft beer. And so I don't see how this wouldn't fit in and work well. And Jim's a great brewer.
Yeah.
So I think it's on paper, it looks great. There's a lot of challenges, obviously, as you mentioned, even our passports as Americans have very little value to the world right now because, unfortunately, of the pandemic. And so, working from this way, like going south and working in Mexico, restricted, coming north, not restricted.
One star.
Yeah, right. So, and Rudy agrees with Estella
because it's true. Nobody calls it that.
Well, I haven't either, but there could be people.
It's just Brian. It's just Brian and Matt that call it.
So, no, there's a second person in my life that I've heard it before. It doesn't matter. It's like when
out them right now.
It's like
it's not his mom.
It's not up. Yes, right. It's not.
That's
up,
my shit.
It's not up to me.
Oh man!
Believe the people that actually go there.
So honestly, Valle does need this. Valle absolutely needs this because you have all of the wineries, but you don't have a brewery. So I think it's a great idea. I've gone down there quite a bit. The food is phenomenal. if you haven't been to Valle, not whatever else you guys were calling it,
Ballet.
Don't lump
Yeah.
us all together like a weirdo. I didn't say shit.
So go down to Valle once it's safe and once you can go, because right now the problem isn't getting that well. The problem is getting down there. It's not coming back. It's restricted travel. So
it's really strange. It's one of the few times in our life where coming up from Mexico is easier. But you know, if you're brave enough to go down there, go if you can. And this region, like again, it's like nonstop excellence as far as food and wine. And if anything else I said took away from that, that was not my intention. Great place.
No.
I'm aware of. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. It's okay.
I would actually love for us to go down there, maybe when they're open, and do a show there. That'd be really great, because I love going to VDG. It's my favorite. I love it.
Right.
No, but it's a great place to go, and you really get a taste of the true flavor of what's happening. You know, and it goes beyond anything that people who have never been know about the region, and it's really great. I mean, there's a lot of ingenuity happening down there, and there you go. Well, let me close out the news. So this isn't as good of news, but it's smart news, in my opinion. So Bolt Brewery, which is in La Mesa, last year they opened up a place on University Avenue. They took over the old Mr. G's Tavern, an old haunt or cross-street haunt of Mr. Abel Garcia, and turned it into Bolt Brewery and Spirits. It was basically a bar where they served their beer as well as hard alcohol and cocktails, because they had the license for it. So no brewing, no distilling happening there. But when COVID hit, it was just like, this is not a viable business for anything having to do with that. There was no, like bona fide meal and going outside. It was not smart for them to even open the place back up. So it was closed for 4 months, and they decided, let's let it go, because we have a brewery in La Mesa. We have a eatery and tasting room in Little Italy.
Yeah.
Let's make sure these things are taken care of, and just let that one go. It was a hard decision for them, but it was a smart decision for them. So that place is one of the I can't believe I'm saying it, but like the few closures that have occurred within the craft beer industry in San Diego over the last 5 months. I've been really impressed with how people have been able to soldier on, make this whole thing happen. But even for them, a small casualty of 3 locations, if they're going to let one go, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But people are still making it happen, and that's one small thing. But so far, so good. I really marvel at people like you, Nick, who are just like making this thing happen. It's not easy, but you're making it happen while making people happy and making quality product. That's really something to be said for that. So way to go. It's not like, oh yeah, we're making it happen, but the beer's not very good, or customer experience isn't very good. I think the breweries are really kicking ass and just bringing their best every day. So way to go on your part, and everybody else's too.
Yay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll keep plugging forward, and there's a lot that are like doing their best to try and get through. So I think that's a beautiful segue. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And at least we weren't reporting that Bolt Brewery had to close as a business.
Exactly. Yeah,
you got it.
If you have to sacrifice a limb right now to keep the body alive, I think we're all kind of in a phase of that's acceptable. Like the company I work for, our goal is to break even this year. If we break even, we're going to take that as a huge fucking win. And so it's not just breweries that are hurting. Everyone's hurting. Everything's fucked up. All we can do is put a fucking mask on before you go to the fucking public. Sorry. And be nice to people, and try to get through and realize that we're all suffering. We're all
in this together.
We're all.
Is anybody coming to my COVID party tomorrow?
Yes.
It's gonna be rad. It's gonna be so good.
There we go.
Pack them in. It's gonna be great.
Hey.
That's the best part. The best part of this all has been: are we supposed to be excited because we were busy, or are we supposed to be embarrassed because we were busy? Like,
excited. Excited.
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah,
And
if you guys need a mask, make sure.
Abel is our resident mask model, and
sorry.
he is doing it right now. Here, we'll zoom in on that. If you happen to want one, that's indie.
I don't know what to make of any of this.
Right, indie.beer/shop. They're $10. We now have them in stock. A lot of people pre-ordered. Thank you for that. But they're now in stock and ready to ship right away. We had a massive delay. Everything was fucked up again.
And they fit really well. Like they really aren't tight. They don't hurt your ears. They're just
they're good
right
material.
up on your face.
You can breathe through it. Not really.
And
I'm supposed to breathe out of it.
I like it.
And I think another person just said Abel is a sexy mofo. So we got the Abel is sexy freaking club
Segura.
over there.
That was Paul.
Again, these are the people I paid. So right, thank you for coming through, Paul. Your text and email.
Larry, we've talked about how awesome Larry is. He's taking a picture at a couple breweries with our masks. Larry, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's really cool. So we can't do this show without the support of currently 54 amazing freaking humans. We call them the Indie Beer Show patrons. And this week we even have a new patron who is listening. Matt Knapp from The Perfect Pour. So if you guys don't know who the Perfect Pour is, fucking find them.
Is that Matt Knapp?
You're a terrible person.
Absolutely. That is. He works at Tioga Sequoia, and
nice.
he is a stellar beer dude. The Perfect Pour is one of the original small craft beer podcasts in the world. Actually, they're in Fresno. They're well over 300 episodes in. I mean, they're way ahead of any other craft beer podcast I know of, actually. They're terrific guys. They have a tight formula for their show. They are the only podcast that has a consistent string of voicemails. Like they still have a bunch of listeners that call in weekly and leave them messages. We haven't had a call in months, but whatever. That's just not how
we're not saying anything.
They're
about
all right
you
here right
now,
now.
right?
Look at them.
No,
Right?
we're not
It's all
calling you guys.
happening right now.
But anyways, shout out to Matt Knapp from The Perfect Pour. We appreciate it. But if you go to patreon.com/Indie Beer Show, you join at $6 a month, which is the pint level or more. I am morally and legally obligated to give you a shout out. And this week, those people are Ben, Bill, Brian, Captain Eli, Casey, Dan, Diego's, who's listening, by the way,
Hi.
Dante, Doug, Garen, George from the Homebrewer /Homebrew Co. Greg from Stone, the Indie Beer Show brand, COVID-19 pandemic socially distancing Zorball LLC. Thank you, Maggie and Greg. Hoppy Crest from Podcast, James, Jason, Jess from Ale Tales, Joey from Hoppy Beer Gear, Juan, Judith, the beer historian,
Hi,
Kenneth,
Judith.
Larry Smith, who's listening,
Hi.
Liz
I like
from Hops Power, Matt and
Hi,
Candace, who's listening, Miguel Loza, Mr. Peacock from Tapcraft, we freaking love you. Mike Sahagan, who's listening. Thank you very much, man. Nathaniel, Norman, OC Brewgirl. By the way, ocbrewgirl.com for all of your...
Really?
For
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane, fan of the show, great lady. Went to school with her at SCSU craft beer program.
Wow.
ocbrewgirl.com for all of your needs for knowing if Orange County breweries are open. So,
wow, friend.
Take that, Greg.
She made a great resource. she made a great resource. So check that out. Pacific Beer Chat. Robert from 13 Point, who was listening earlier, at least. Roger Smith, who was a really cool dude. Rudy from Jolly Spaceship, who's listening. Ryan from Gravity Heights, who we were raving about June Gloom about earlier. Sergio Nigos, who is the only person I haven't shipped a mask to. Your mask is being shipped tomorrow, sir. Very sorry. Life.
So he died on the way to his home planet.
Right? Exactly. And the greatest pun in craft beer patron history, Jagus.
Hey.
We really appreciate it. Let's jump into our number ones. Mr. Hernandez, your favorite San Diego brewery.
I know it is. I know it is.
Ooh. Aren't you fancy?
I bet you don't.
Oh.
Right. Maybe you do. But it's very logical and it's right. That's the biggest part. It's correct. So
it's my number one.
It's been said before on this podcast, but Rip Current to me I really believe there's no brewery that's kind of kept that spirit of homebrewing alive through their entire lifespan the way that Rip Current has. I mean, they make beers, box, doppelbox, all sorts of things. They have all sorts of weekly specials and things that really speak to somebody who likes to homebrew. I really want to explore these almost defunct styles or things that people really aren't into, but I appreciate the style. I want to master the style, and I want to present you the best version of it that I can. Of course, they have to do business things like offer multiple IPAs and all that. I mean, they used to have 2 or 3 Hefeweizens on. I mean, look what we're talking about right now. That's the kind of company that Rip Current is. I respect that Paul and Guy over there have just and their staff, of course, have worked so hard to just kind of present the best versions of so many different styles that they can. And it's like going to a homebrewers conference when you show up there, or homebrew con, if you will, when you want to go and check out a diverse range of beers and modern to traditional. But I just hats off to them. And their beers taste great. That's the big thing. It's like they do all of that, but I think that a lot of their beers are just fantastic. So there you go. I don't know why Nick's smiling. I hope it's not because he thinks they suck. I'm
No.
just kidding around.
Because
Here's the
my
number 2,
wife
so I
is
know it's
behind
okay.
me in
I'm
her hot
joking around.
disco pants.
He's also smiling because you mentioned HomebrewCon, which, if it does happen in 21, will be here again. It's been a long time since HomebrewCon
Finally.
been in San Diego, and that's very nice of you. But it's been a long time since HomebrewCon's been in San Diego, and hopefully things will be in the right state so that we can welcome all of them with a hug and have an actual convention. But I'm going to go clockwise, so that means Mr. Coronavirus, the number one San Diego brewery to you, started by a home brewer.
Okay, so it was mentioned earlier, but I have received so much help from an advisory standpoint to just a straight up simple standpoint. Yeast, kegs, Tommy Arthur at Lost Abbey to take over Stone. He literally took over like the quintessential San Diego, moving from craft to big time craft position. So Tommy has been a huge help, and it was funny because I had gone to Las Vegas and I visited a craft house out there in Henderson and just set up a schedule with the guy and sat there and met with him. And he said, you know something, I don't meet with a lot of people, but Tommy Arthur from Lost Abbey had met with us early, and he met with me and my wife, and he shared a lot of really good information with us. And I wanted to try and pay that forward. So I'm meeting with you right now. This guy didn't know me from Adam, but he met with me because of his experience with Tommy. And so here, Tommy has helped me with so many things and helped us. So I really would say that Tommy and his pay it forward approach and his innovation is a big influence on me.
And I don't think you can overstate how much Mr. Arthur's influence on San Diego craft beer has been. Just a stalwart. And,
is that what you thought I was going to say, Abel?
Yeah, of course. I thought that. I mean, but anyways, that's cool. Estella.
Yeah.
Number one.
So we all mentioned the same breweries, but for me, it's AleSmith. I'm gonna go there. I love AleSmith still now, but just going back to Skip, maybe I should have done Gravity Heights. I don't know, but yeah, it's AleSmith for me. So yeah,
that's awesome. And you cannot go wrong. And that was I originally wrote down AleSmith as my number 2, but yes, let's I think damn it, pointing backwards is hard. Mr. Garcia, number 1.
Like I said in our text messaging that we all sent each other, it's going to be about 80% of all the breweries here in San Diego. So you pretty much all nailed every one that I can kind of think of. I can't drop any more knowledge than that. Every a lot of breweries that are still surviving here in San Diego, they're making great beers that are home brewed. They're all my number ones.
Right
Big
on.
collective number one. Big hug.
Just saying, you guys can't say
Cheating.
I cheated anymore because. Oh wait, this way. It's him
Yeah.
now. It's him.
Yeah.
It's him.
Okay. Exactly. That's
Always
really
forgiven. Always forgiven.
Now
I
you
love
can't
you.
be mad. You can't be mad at what I said. Here you go.
Well, you guys,
Aw.
throughout this whole process, all of the breweries I wrote down to discuss were discussed. If you guys are not aware, there is an elite homebrew club here in San Diego called QUAFF. That's QUAFF. Dues are $25 a year. I'm not joking. Only $25 a year. They're meeting virtually currently, but when they can meet, they meet at Karl Strauss, an amazing homebrew club. More than 30 professional breweries have been started by members of this club. So to me, I'm gonna kind of take it down a level. My favorite San Diego brewery started by a home brewer isn't even a brewery. It's just the club that we consider the minor leagues of San Diego beer, and that's QUAFF. You guys are the fucking best. They've won Homebrew Club of the Year several times. Not last year, but whatever. Amazing organization. Check them out. So on the march out of here, Mr. Corona, what are the best social media channels to keep up with everything Five Suits Brewing?
Five Suits Brewing at Instagram at Five Suits Brewing, and then of course Five Suits Brewing for Facebook. So those
Is it
two,
alpha or numeric?
it is
The spelling?
numeric. No, I'm sorry, it's alpha.
It's alpha.
Okay.
It is not
My
numeric.
apologies. We're always
FIVE.
alpha. You got it. FIVE. How you spell it? A check. Write your checks.
That's right. If you want to reach us, we are at cheers@indie.beer. We're at Indie Beer Show in Twitter, at the Indie Beer Show in Insta and Facebook. If
Don't
you
forget
want to,
Maggie.
I won't forget Maggie. Jesus fucking Christ.
And there's one more question too.
No, Maggie's not Jesus nor.
Hey guys. Hey. Okay.
Nick, what
Settle
is
down.
the fifth suit? Somebody
Yeah.
asked.
Fifth suit
What is the fifth
thank
suit?
you. Thank you. Excellent question. So we all know the four suits, right? Well, the fifth suit, we wanted to establish the family. Family is everything for us. So Corona is our family name. Obviously, Corona was already taken for breweries. So Corona means crown. The fifth suit is a crown.
Excellent.
Ah.
Well
Boom.
done.
So that's
Well
the
done.
Voltron of.
It's
of
also
all-
it's
That's the
also
Voltron.
it's also the holographic sticker that looks really good on my beer fridge right now.
Yes.
So
Abel's
thank
got it.
Thank you very
Right in the
much.
center.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. If you want to break our
show,
streak, if you want to break our streak of no voicemails since Greg Cook, 619-798-6038. If you want to know what's going on with not every, but almost every single San Diego brewery in San Diego breweries in San Diego. Again, I did it. Jesus Christ. Go to https:/bit.ly/help SD Beer 2. Another way to get there is to go to San Diego news.beer.
San Diego beer.news.
Sorry, San Diego beer.news.
I appreciate
San
it.
Diego beer.news.
I give up.
Right up at the top of the page.
I give up.
Do
There's a yellow stripe right across the top that says San Diego Brewery statuses. Check that out. All my pages
Hey,
landed
it's
on
been
my
over 2 hours. It's all good, man.
It's all good, man. It's so great. To close us out, I want to say thank you to everyone that is participating and listening. Next week, we have another new San Diego brewery that opened in the middle of a pandemic. Very hard. We're going to have 3 frogs on. And not only that, we're going to have all 3 of the frogs. So we will have all 3 founders of 3 Frogs Brewery next week. Happy birthday to Brandon Hernandez tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Everybody listening, make sure you send him a note.
Brandon.
For Estella, Nick
Bye.
from Five Suits Brewing, Brandon Hernandez, the pre-birthday boy, Abel Garcia, and myself, I'm Brian. You've been listening to the Indie Beer Show.
Bye.
Thank you, and
Hit it.
good night.